Allahu Akbar, one of the most dramatic views on planet Earth. I'm on top of the Makkah clock tower, and directly just behind me is the most incredible view of the Kaaba Sharifah, the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you can see thousands upon thousands of worshippers here in the blessed days of Dhul Hijjah, preparing for the Hajj in the most beautiful way, doing tawaf around the house of Allah, praying and worshipping. There can't be a sight more beautiful than this on planet Earth, subhanAllah.
وادعي لي وسلم لي على هادي الأمم وديني سلامي يا رايح للحرم.
I was just walking around the clock tower and I noticed that there was a brand new exhibition that was on offer for those coming here to visit the city of Makkah al-Mukarramah, the Clock Tower Museum. So I've just come in I bought myself a ticket, came up the tower, and I'll be honest with you, as I was coming up the elevator, you could actually feel the sheer height of where we were going, and something like this, the sensation that you would feel on an aeroplane, that actually I felt my ears popping. You know, mashallah, we are very high up here, and just walked into the museum itself about the clock tower, and what's behind me, mashallah, is a dramatic piece of actually the working mechanisms of this incredible clock tower, which is the largest freestanding clock tower in the entire world. Behind me is one of the best taken pictures of the galaxy. What I find absolutely amazing, especially being here in Makkah al-Mukarramah, is that when you actually look at this picture, what does it actually remind you of? It reminds you of tawaf, Allahu Akbar. It reminds you that this huge universe galaxy that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created is moving. Just like millions of Hujjaj are moving around doing their tawaf, this is very representative, even at a galaxy level, of what's actually happening at the most incredible scales that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created of the known universe. And subhanAllah, and here we are in Makkah al-Mukarramah, where we see also the Hujjaj revolving around the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, showing their devotion to the Creator, as the creation itself is clearly doing that in this dramatic picture of the galaxy. SubhanAllah, at the beginning of the exhibition, speaking about the constellations of the sky, when we speak about that in Arabic, we use the term al-buruj, meaning constellations. And SubhanAllah, they put a beautiful ayah from Surah Al-Hijr, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about how He's adorned the heavens and the earth, the skies, the firmaments, with constellations. So it's a decoration, lid-nadhirin, for those who look at it. And subhanAllah, they'll give you some incredible glimpses of exactly what that galaxy looks like. Unfortunately, due to so much light pollution in the cities that we live in, it's very difficult for the human eye to discern all this grandeur and beauty that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put in the lowest heavens, in the sky that we see, the known universe. Walking around the exhibition, and I did notice this structure before. I thought it was just like a working model. What I didn't actually realize, and I just asked somebody in the exhibition, I said, is this the actual clock face? Are we actually in the clock tower itself? And subhanAllah, the answer is yes. So what you're seeing behind me is the actual working, one of the four faces of the clock tower here in Makkah al-Mukarramah. It's amazing. I actually just thought it was a model. It's actually one of the four clock faces, and it's from the exhibition that we're in, we can actually see two of the clock faces. Two of them are covered from the view we're seeing, but we're seeing two opposing clock faces, this one here and then on the other side. And I can't actually wait to see what the observation desk looks like, which is going to be just slightly, this exhibition's at 4 levels. So on the 4th lower level will actually be the observatory desk, where we can actually see Makkah al-Mukarramah for an incredible aerial view. Behind me is a wonderful explanation of how the solar eclipse takes place, as well as the lunar eclipse. The wonderful workings of how this takes place in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's universe. And what's also incredibly beautiful for us as Muslims is that the Prophet ﷺ specifically marked these amazing and great events in Allah's creation by praying to the Lord of that creation, subhanAllah. The Islamic calendar, mashallah, is a lunar calendar, and just seeing a wonderful, beautiful picture of the beginning of a new crescent moon. And as we know, the new crescent moon will mark the beginning of the new month. The Prophet ﷺ said beautifully in a hadith to the companions radiallahu anhum, he said that the moon or the month, the shahr, is hakada wa hakada wa hakada. So he indicated with his blessed hands that it's 29 days. But he said ﷺ that if on the 29th night it's cloudy, then it's hakada wa hakada wa hakada, meaning 30. And this is why you'll find the Islamic calendar is 355 days, approximately 10 or 11 days shorter than the lunar or the solar calendar, which explains why Ramadan comes earlier 10 days compared to the Gregorian calendar. And this is, of course, through the sighting of the hilal, the sighting of the brand new Islamic lunar moon. MashaAllah, behind me here you have a wonderful display of how the moon phases themselves work. Why I've stopped to reflect here specifically is you'll see the new moon, the waxing crescent, the first quarter of the moon, the waxing gibbous, which is what it's showing. But this is the bit I really wanted to show you all. On the 13th day, the 14th day, and the 15th day of a lunar month, the Prophet ﷺ would fast these days. These are called the Ayyam al-Bid, the white days. And the hadith says, even if he was a musafir, if he was traveling, or he was muqim, if he was resident in a place, the Prophet ﷺ would always fast the bright days. It's a sunnah, inshallah, that we should revive that. If we're not already doing this, that we should be fasting on the 13th, 14th and 15th of every single lunar month, inshallah. The Makkah clock tower is determined by an atomic clock, and literally behind me you're seeing this display to atomic accuracy. But this is something absolutely amazing, super cool, I have to be honest with you. It says you can get your own personal Makkah time by pressing this button, and you can take it as a souvenir. So I'm gonna have a go, right? So just watch the display as I do this. Bismillah. Right, that display's just frozen. It's told me exactly what it is. So have a look who the winner is. We've got here 4th of August 2019, which is the 3rd of Dhul Hijjah in the year 1440, and the time is 5:48. 15 seconds, and then Allah knows best. Well, I don't know how to pronounce the rest of that, but fantastic. Something I definitely will keep. And mashallah, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks us to appreciate time when He says, Wala asr, by asr. He swears by time, and time is incredibly important. And it's wonderful to see here in Makkah al-Mukarramah that the very clock tower is one of the most accurate clock pieces in the entire world, running on atomic timing. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allah is indeed the greatest. Allah is indeed the greatest. Allah is indeed the greatest. We're here at the top of the Makkah clock tower, and we can see the most dramatic view of the Haram Sharif. You're seeing all these thousands of worshippers doing their tawaf around the holy ancient house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Many of them you can make out they're doing their salawat, their prayers. It is amazing. And what I have to share with you as well is this beautiful point that you find in tafsir about the Kaaba itself. They say that there's not only just one Kaaba. They speak about a Kaaba which is, yes, on planet Earth that we can see. But they say that it's not just the horizontal space, it's the vertical column space directly above the Kaaba as well. And we can see this dramatic view of the Kaaba, that it's not to be understood that the Kaaba is not only the space on the earth, it's vertically up into the heavens. And they say something very beautiful I want to share with you, which is there are 7 other Kaabas directly aligned above the Kaaba on planet Earth. The one on the lowest sky, known as the known universe, as-Sama' ad-Dunya, is called Baytul Izzah. It's the house of honor and might, where the Quran on the night of power was brought by Jibreel alayhi salam by the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the lowest heaven, to the Baytul Izzah, the house of honor and might. And then we speak about the highest Kaaba, which is in as-Sama' as-Sabi'ah, the 7th layer of the sky. And we hear this beautiful account where on the night journey, the Prophet ﷺ, as he ascended through those heavens, he meets Ibraheem ﷺ. And how appropriate this is, brothers and sisters. He meets Ibraheem ﷺ, who is musnadan. He's leaning against the Kaaba of the 7th heaven, called Al-Bayt al-Ma'mur, the frequented house. The hadith says 70,000 angels do tawaf around that every day and they won't return. So what we find is each layer of sky beyond the known universe has its own Kaaba, so that all the inhabitants of each one of those layers of sky knows exactly which way to pray. Allahu Akbar walillahi alhamd.
Allahumma labbaik labbaik Allahumma labbaik labbaik la sharika lak labbaik la sharika lak labbaik innal hamda wan ni'mata lak wal mulk la sharika lak.
MashaAllah, you're seeing thousands upon thousands of people. It's around about 2 a.m. at the moment on the second day of Dhul Hijjah. We're performing their tawaf. It begins at the black stone. They will do the istilam, raise their right hand, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, lillahi alhamd, and then they will go around the Kaaba 7 times with the Kaaba to their left. The ulama speak about the connection being the heart, which is positioned on the left, rotating themselves around Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sacred heart.
Labbaik Allahumma labbaik labbaik la sharika lak labbaik innal hamda wan ni'mata lak wal mulk la sharika lak. لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك
Upon completing the 7 rounds of the tawaf around the Kaaba Sharifa as part of the rites of the Umrah, then of course one proceeds to pray the 2 nafil prayers, 2 rak'ahs, as close as possible to the maqam, the station of Ibraheem alayhi salam, which marks of course the footprints of the noble Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, where he stood upon when he was constructing the Kaaba, and the imprint remains, mashallah, still there. One of the signs of Allah still there today, mashallah. The ulama allow that if you can't pray next to it, which is near impossible in these days, especially these days of Dhul Hijjah and near the Hajj, then they say you try to pray behind the maqam, and if you can't even do that, then anywhere in the masjid will do, because of the sheer rush of the people. I mean, even now, it's just gone past 1 a.m. on the 2nd of Dhul Hijjah, and subhanAllah, the masjid is absolutely full and brimming, subhanAllah, with groups, many groups from literally around the world, a real reflection of the greatness of this ummah of the Prophet ﷺ. After praying the 2 nafil, then it's sunnah to proceed to one of the well points of Zamzam, and to partake and drink from the well of Zamzam. Not only drink from it, but also cover oneself in it is sunnah. And then, of course, then heading to where we are right now, which is Mount Safa. This marks the beginning of the Sa'i, which of course relays back to when Hajar alayhi salam, she was seeking water for her beautiful noble son, Ismail alayhi salam, and she then went up Mount Safa and Mount Marwa, and then she ran at the base of the hill, between the 2 mounts, which is when she could no longer see Ismail alayhi salam at that point. So she ran through that point, and the men of today will actually follow this sunnah. Speaking of sunnah, the sunnah is of course to start by going to Mount Safa, facing towards the Qibla, towards the Kaaba that you can see. And the ayah that one recites is this beautiful ayah found in the Quran, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Inna Safa wal Marwata min sha'airillah. That indeed Mount Safa and Mount Marwa are from the signs of God, subhanallah. فَمَنْ حَجَّ الْبَيْتَ أَوْ اِعْتَمَرَ. So the one who performs Hajj or does Umrah, فَلَا جُنَاهَ عَلَيْهِ أَنْ يَطَوَّفَ بِهِمَا. There's no sin on him to do tawaf between the 2 mounts. You might find that strange, because you think, but these are the signs of Allah. Why would Allah be saying there's no sins attached to this? The reason is because the Quraysh at the time had placed, unfortunately, idols on Mount Safa and Mount Marwa. So it had become a place of shirk. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding them that these are signs of Allah, and that there's no harm whatsoever in doing the tawaf there. And we'll conclude with the ayah, and it says, so وَمَنْ تَتَوَّعَ خَيْرًا فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ شَاكِرٌ عَلِيمٌ. That indeed, the one who does this voluntarily, indeed Allah is grateful and all-knowing. And then it's sunnah to say, أَبْدَأُ بِمَا بَدَأَ اللَّهُ بِهِ, which is to say that indeed we begin with what Allah began with. And what we're saying there is what the Prophet ﷺ said, because if you notice at the beginning of the ayah, it says, Inna Safa wal Marwata min sha'airillah. Indeed, Safa and Marwa from the signs of Allah. So Allah mentions Safa first. It's also sunnah when we are here to do dua on top or close to Mount Safa and Mount Marwa, and of course positioning ourselves towards the Qibla. And a Masnoon dua, a dua of the Prophet ﷺ was that he said, Allahu Akbar 3 times. He said, Allah is the greatest 3 times. And he said, La ilaha illallah, there's no God but Allah. Wahduhu la sharika lah, by himself, no, with no partner. Lahul mulk wa lahul hamd. To him belongs the dominion and to him belongs the praise. Wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir. And he is powerful over all things. La ilaha illallah, there's no God but Allah. Wahduhu, by himself. And then it's very beautiful, this phrase. Anjaza wa'ada, he is the one who fulfilled his promise. Nasara abda, he made his prophet, his servant, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, successful and victorious. وَهَزَمَ الْأَحْزَابَ وَحْدَ, and he is the one who destroyed all of the confederates when they came to destroy the Muslims in Madinah Munawwara. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who destroyed them all. And subhanAllah, that's what we're doing now. We're mimicking in the footsteps of the prophets, and of course, especially in the footsteps of our mother, Hajj.
الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك.
To do the last rounds of Mount Safa and Mount Marwa. This is the 7th round. Of course, this is near the end of the part of the Umrah, having done the Tawaf, praying the 2 Nafal at the Maqam Ibraheem, drinking Zamzam, then moving on to Mount Safa, and then proceeding from Mount Safa to Marwa. That's 1 round. And that's, of course, what is legislated is to do that 7 times. Technically, you don't have to be in a state of wudu for this, unlike Tawaf, which you have to be in wudu. It's mustahab though, it's recommended to be in wudu. The reason being is we're actually technically outside of the masjid itself. This is outside of the masjid bounds. So you don't have to technically be in wudu, but because it's an act of worship, good to be in wudu. What you'll start to see now as I'm approaching here is that you'll see a green corridor of lights lit up. And again, the reason for that is to indicate for the men, and not the women, but for the men, to follow in the sunnah of Hajar Islam, that she ran at this point because she couldn't see Ismail Islam. So this is what we're going to proceed to do.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك.
So it's also from the sunnah that after you've completed the 2 units of prayer behind the maqam of Ibraheem a.s. is to partake and drink from the beautiful well of Zamzam. Zamzam has the meaning of stop, stop, because it was an overwhelming flow of water that came from the heel of Ismail a.s. when Jibreel a.s. kicked and the well of Zamzam appeared. And alhamdulillah, it's sunnah now to drink from it and to say the dua, Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafi'an. Oh Allah, I ask you for beneficial knowledge. Wa rizqan wasi'an, and for wide, expansive sustenance from you, O Allah. Wa shifa'in min kulli saqamin min da'in, to ask Allah for a cure from every type of illness or disease, inshallah. So we're going to partake now, as per the sunnah, to drink Zamzam, but not only to drink it, but also it's sunnah to cover yourself in the Zamzam water. It's a very blessed water, and inshallah we'll stand out of respect for the water of Zamzam and face the Qibla as we do that, inshallah.
سلامي يا رايح للحرم وادعي لي وسلم لي على هادي الأمم.